All right, welcome to Live from My Drum Room and a special episode celebrating Charlie Watts' 85th birthday. I'm honored to be joined by Charlie's longtime friend and my friend as well, the legendary Jim Keltner. We'll play some music and we'll share some memories of our friend Charlie. So come along for the ride as we celebrate Charlie Watts' 85th birthday. And please welcome the legendary Jim Keltner. Hey, Jim. Welcome.
Welcome to you.
Thank you for being here. Man,
Is that your music room, by the way?
it is. This is my drum room.
Wow, oh, your drum room, right? Yeah, I used to call mine my drum room. But yeah, that's a beautiful room, man.
Thanks,
Great
Jim.
done.
Thank you. I come down here and I've got some drums in the other room, but this is where I play and practice.
Wow.
Not as much as I should, but I try.
Yeah. Well, you record it. Make sure you record everything you do.
I'm starting to do that more. Yeah, well, the thing about recording, you don't have to worry about this, Jim, but boy, it really keeps you honest, man. When you record yourself and then you hear it, you go, okay.
Yeah, you,
Yeah.
you go, oh no, that sucks. So let me try that again. Yeah, the name of the game.
Absolutely.
Learn by.
Absolutely. But thank you for being here today. I know this was a little bit of a last minute thing, but I thought of you immediately as someone I'd want to have here today to talk about our friend Charlie. And I just thought maybe as we kind of start things, I know you've told this story before, and I think you even at one point weren't even 100% sure when you actually met Charlie, but I think you might have narrowed it down to the concert for Bangladesh. Is that when you and Charlie met in 70, 71?
John, man, I'm so sorry, but I'm terrible with stuff like this. I truly cannot remember. I don't remember where I met Ringo, or when, or Charlie, or Elvin Jones.
I put you on the spot, and I had a feeling you might say that you didn't remember. So I think maybe I read somewhere that Charlie might have said that you guys met at the concert for Bangladesh. But
If that's what he said, then that's probably what happened. I'm sure.
And I know that was, I think, where he saw you doing the lift, and there's all that history there between you guys and Levon.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Yeah.
man, I have so many memories of I think about that time at Hal Blaine's birthday party, which was 2019, 7 years ago, and that hang at the Baked Potato with you and Charlie, and you're such a special guy, Jim. Yeah, and Charlie was so special to both of us.
Charlie Watts, man. Yeah. One of my favorite times was when I told Charlie, I said, you want to go up to Ringo's? Why don't we drive up to Ringo's? And he loved the idea. And I felt like, what the hell? What have I turned into here? Like some kind of Beatles, Rolling Stones fan, old man, kid thing. What is this that I'm doing? But it was just amazing to see them hug and shake hands, and they hadn't seen each other in so long. And there it is. I mean, what a day that was, just so fantastic. I mean, if you want to talk about drumming or rock and roll or any kind of thing, any kind of music, for me, the older I get, the more I like what I always loved, which is the groove, the melody, and and then now I'm really getting into the nuance, like little details, things that I never paid much attention to before. And I mean, I did that when I first discovered Elvin Jones. I did that. I just went crazy with detail and stuff. And but never in a million years would I have thought of doing that with rock and roll drumming.
Mm.
And but like I say, nowadays I have an appreciation for the thing that my friends used to call English drumming. Uh, and I always thought I would hear that term and it would go in one ear and out the other. And now I really know, I know what it is. I know what it was. I knew what it was, and I didn't have an appreciation that I have now. And I'm not sure why that is, but it's a really specific thing. American drummers did not play like that. They
Hmm.
still don't. And so there's that wonderful thing of discovering the differences. I love that. I love the fact that we're all so different in so many ways. And you and I talked a little earlier today about what the world needs now is love. That's
Yeah.
the love for each other, that we could appreciate our differences. It just we're just craving that. I know I'm not. We're all in the same boat. We all
Yeah.
want that so badly. Uh, to understand each other and to appreciate each other, it's just so important. So, but to get to the point, the um, uh, to hear Charlie uh, from way back early when he first started with the Stones, he was already one of the best drummers. He and Ringo have that in common. They were highly uh, appreciated and highly sought after drummers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In that world. And so the Stones got lucky when they were able to get Charlie, and to listen to right off the bat the things that they did. The big records. I'm kind of shallow in that respect. That I love hit records. I with especially with the pop and the rock stuff. I can't. I'm not one of those people that digs deep. I think and finds the the other stuff. It's just if it's a hit and I hear it, that's when I hear it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the Rolling Stones records that I remember, the early ones that just grabbed me. And and now when you study them, because you don't hear them anymore on the radio, you used to hear them constantly on the radio. And so when you go back and visit, it's an amazing thing. It's the same thing with Ringo. It's the same thing with like the Beatles with, and we just spoke about that a minute ago. I saw her standing there. Uh, I must have heard that a million times, back in the day on the radio. And then I would never even think about it again after that, all the stuff that they did after that. But you go back and you listen to that record and you hear the way Ringo was playing. It's a lesson in English drumming and and being played with the genius band that they were, and it's the
Yeah.
same friggin' thing with Charlie Watts. You go back and you listen to the records that now that you remember hearing every day, all day long, uh, and then you hear the nuance of stuff like we were just talking about,
Yeah.
satisfaction.
Yeah.
Uh,
Great
that
example.
that groove for a drummer, for any drummer that plays rock and roll, to play that groove is not about uh, playing it perfectly in the pocket. Those guys, I don't think they didn't do that to a click. They could never have played like the Rolling Stones. Uh, Keith and Charlie on Satisfaction is unbelievable. the nuance is just it's just exquisite in every way, man. If you you know, Keith can like get out of the pocket and then come back in such a perfect way. And he always said it, you know, and it was because he could lay in that bed that Charlie would lay down, and he could, you know, go to sleep. He could get up, and it would still be there. And you know, so that that's just one example of Charlie Watts for me.
Yeah.
Uh, and that is not easy to do. That's the point I'm trying to make. I know this business. Of playing rock and roll. I got real fortunate to be able to learn how to do it. You know, after I'd hated it for so long. You know, and once I knew what it was about, man, to realize how it's not easy to do. It's not easy to play rock and roll. It's not what I thought it was. When I was a jazz player, I thought, you know what, what, who cares, you know, and what, it doesn't take anything to play rock and roll. You just play a backbeat or something. I was so wrong about that. And here we are talking about one of the great bands of all time, uh, one of the great drummers of all time, and one of the greatest bands of all time. And that's it. Every one of those songs that you hear Charlie playing on with the Rolling Stones, you'll hear exactly what I'm talking about. You'll
Yeah.
hear like just incredible groove and and attention being paid, so that when your guitar player, and I think Charlie used to refer to Keith as his guitar player. When your guitar player, you know, has maybe had a little too much fun at lunch or dinner or whatever, and he's, you know, all over the place. It's not a job, but it is really, in a way. Your job is to help him along the way,
Hmm.
not to correct him, but to help him, to be there for him so that he can feel comfortable enough to go in and out.
Yeah.
And that is a perfect example of, you know, the satisfaction is just one song. And I mean, there's so many, there's, you know, you mentioned 19th Nervous Breakdown. Oh my God, there's so many,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
you know, so many of the later ones.
absolutely. Well, Jim, how about let's play a little bit of Satisfaction? I think you summed it up perfectly. You know, and I just want to add that when I think of this song, I'm so glad you mentioned it because it's one of those songs that you know I might have overlooked it, and it's so important, as you said, for so many reasons. And I think his discipline, the fact that he does never plays a drum fill, never hits a crash cymbal. He's just dedicated to the groove. He's disciplined, and you know Charlie better than anybody. I mean, he could make that commitment to a song. He could commit to it like nobody and go,
Yeah.
you know, he owns it. Just I listen to this song and I go, shit, man, he's just like a freight train, you know. And let's so
Yeah.
look,
And he wasn't doing it. He wasn't like doing it, you know, like you say, he was like a freight train. You know, it wasn't like he was just
yeah,
knocking it down with and then, you know, you come in. This is the groove. This is the click here. You guys come and get with it. I think he there had to be an element of that, you know, when he was playing, especially that song. But but more than that, he was able to hear what Keith was doing and be able to just make such a subtle adjustment that you can't tell, but it's there. I mean, he did that on every song, not just Satisfaction. I mean, he did that on so many Rolling Stones songs, man. And I
yeah,
was always amazed at how he could do that. He would just listen and adjust just to the slightest little bit, and it would allow Keith to hear that. That's the other thing. I mean, you know, Keith was genius in that way, man. He knew how to use that.
Yeah.
Just in the same way that John and George and Paul knew how to use Ringo like that. It's the same friggin' thing, man. Same aspect of the writing, the whole thing. You know, you bring what you bring to the table, and then you hope and pray that everybody knows what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are two perfect bands, examples of that. I mean, that happened with so many bands, you know, it's not just them. But in this case, talking about Charlie and the guys, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It was just
So
everybody.
I got you off track. You were going to play.
Yeah. Well, let's play a little bit of Satisfaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This is great. Here we go. Satisfaction, Charlie Watts.
You know, I mean, and it helps that it was a song written with that kind of lyric and sung by one of the great, just one of the greatest singers of all time. You know, Jagger. I mean, it just was a perfect combination. But they said it years ago. You know, just like the Beatles have always said about Ringo. That made the whole difference, you know, when they got the drummers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And it's so great that they both said that too, that they both, you know, in their individual situations have credited, the Beatles have credited that when they got Ringo, that's when it all clicked. When they got Charlie, that's when it all clicked. And, you know, we as drummers, you know, we know that is really true, that's such an important thing, but it's, you know, I think it's, the proof is in the pudding, I guess is what I'm trying to say with both of those bands. As you say, they're both so special in the chemistry and, you know, Charlie, to me, I think so many, you know, like we just talked about 19th Nervous Breakdown and all these little parts. And I'm glad you mentioned, you know, some of the older songs, because I sometimes skip past that early period. I go to like the middle period where they got a little more experimental with like Mick Taylor in the late 60s, early 70s. And they, you know, they made some incredible music during that time, but you can't overlook those early songs, as you say, and those hits like, you know, Get Off My Cloud, which, you know, Charlie's little intro to start that song is classic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys all dressed up just like the union.
again, another song where he commits to that groove. You know, he just commits to that part, and he owns it.
Yeah,
It's genius. It really is.
yeah,
It's
man.
yeah,
I'm glad you say it's genius. I'm careful to use that word, not to abuse that word, but to me, I'll agree with you on that, man. That, what is genius? I don't know. I mean, that's, something that moves you. That's what I look for. That's what I've always looked for. I mean, there's stuff that, and music will move you in so many different kinds of ways. There's stuff
absolutely.
that hits you. Um, this I don't want to go off topic. That would be for another thing. But there's some stuff that I hear now. There's some music by artists that nobody's ever even heard of. This one guy they've never even heard of, and his name is Donnie Elbert.
Mhm.
And every time I hear him do anything, it just it just changes my whole body, everything. I'm getting where certain songs I hear from back in the day, way back in the day,
Mm.
um, will make me cry. And I'm in the car and I'm crying and hearing this song, and I'm saying, I know there's nothing wrong with me. This is just what has
It's
happened. It's
yeah,
happened to me finally, and I can't remember. A song. I won't even name the lyrics, but the lyrics will tell the story. Sometime, I mean, the title of the song will tell the story. Where I was at a particular time in my life, when my when my wife had gotten fed up with me and it was over, and and then for a minute I thought, oh, I'm free, and then later, you know, I'm realizing, oh my God, what have I done? And
yeah,
then I'd hear this song. I'd hear this song. There's a couple of them,
yeah.
there's two or three, and man, I mean, it's powerful. Music is
It
powerful.
it's so powerful. Jim, I know. I mean, I'm a little younger than you, but I have those same triggers. You know, those same emotional triggers. Music that you've played. That when I hear knocking on heaven's door. When I hear that, that evokes such emotion from I think from anybody. But man, I hear that on the radio and I go, holy shit! And you told me
Yeah.
that. Yeah, you were
Well,
very emotional.
that's the genius of the bard. That man, uh, Bob Dylan, he wrote that song for a scene in a movie, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I may be wrong, but I think that, well, anyway, the scene that I remember looking at, that's what you did in those days. You'd see the scene on the screen, a massive screen, not like today with little TV, uh, and you would play to the music. So you can imagine, the power of the visual, and then those chords of Bob and Bob having kind of a cold that day, and yeah, no, it's
It's
that's what. And speaking of crying, that's the first time I ever cried when I played was on that song.
well,
But
I think I read that, or maybe you told me that, and I
yeah,
can understand, I can feel that. That's such a deep, deep song. It's so
yeah,
deep.
yeah. Music. That's what I'm saying. It's like, and Charlie and I used to have these conversations all the time. Uh, Charlie Charlie was such a jazz fanatic. Uh, we saw Elvin play together a few times, and it was so powerful that at the moment it was just all enthralling, and especially when it was with Train. Uh, it was life changing in the first
Sure.
place because I only heard, and we'd only heard the record, the first record, and the record was beautiful. I think it was My Favorite Things, and and it was incredibly just beautiful and and uh, uh, and it was and for me and I would tell Charlie this, and he didn't know this, but uh, it was Elvin Jones, a different Elvin than I had remembered. Elvin came into my life with the J.J. Johnson record, uh, and uh, and Elvin was playing like a bebop, but with a power that was different than the other guys. It wasn't like Philly Joe. It wasn't like the other guys. So it caught my attention, and it was, and that's who I thought Elvin Jones was. And then he got with Train, and then that little record came out with my favorite things and all, and it was beautiful. It was a different kind of thing. And then he comes to L.A. and plays with Train, and we were all just we were knocked back. We didn't know how to. I mean, it was. I remember Bobby Hutcherson was in the audience that night. I didn't go. We lived in Altadena, but we didn't drive there. That he was there on his own, and I remember him saying afterwards. He said, "L.A. will never be the same." And no place was ever the same after that. That's how strong and powerful that was. And I loved having those conversations with Charlie Watts, because he knew what it was. He understood that.
He
And
incredibly, he was like an encyclopedia. As you well know, I remember spending a day with him, and he was. It was. I knew he knew that, Jim. I knew he knew the history, but I didn't know he knew it to the extent that he did. And he was talking about seeing Gene Krupa as a teenager, and how like that changed his life. And he said he was handsome, and he was charismatic behind the drums, and it was kind of like I could relate to when I saw Ringo with the Beatles. Like it had to be a similar thing when he saw Gene. Like here's this like handsome guy having the best time of his life behind the drums, and it's like Charlie said, I want to do that. And
yeah.
And
all the way over in England, across the water.
I know, and I think it's cool
that we had over here.
Yeah.
I see. Charlie and I were the same age. Charlie was 1 year older than me.
Right.
And so we, all of my friends now are like you, younger by, Steve Jordan is what? He's 15 years younger than me, something like that.
I think so. Yeah.
And then there are others who are.
I'm 18 years younger. Yeah.
There are others who, but the point is that everybody's younger than me. So when I talk nowadays about things like when you telling me about what Charlie told you about Gene Krupa, seeing Gene Krupa, when I say things like that I saw Elvin play, most of my drummer friends go, "Wow, you saw him live," back in the day when it was, when he still not later on with the Jazz Machine, which was great.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the heyday, to have seen that. And then when I talk about having seen Cynthia and I used to go on dates, and we'd see Lenny Bruce. And he's just a legend, and he's just like a guy in a book or something, in some documentaries and things to most people.
Yeah,
most of my friends. But we actually saw him live, so there was that advantage of being old. But that was a good thing that Charlie and I had in common, and I loved that. I just loved that. Every time he'd come to town, man, he'd call. And he would know already who was playing in town.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's cool. I was going to say it's cool that you guys had that shared history of really really being jazz drummers first,
Yeah.
3,000 or more miles away from each other growing up, a year difference in age. And there's Charlie growing up as really wanting to be a jazz drummer, and you starting off as a jazz drummer, and both kind of ending up where you've ended up, and making us all really happy about that too. I want to make sure I add that
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you decided to record, make rock records.
Yeah. Well, it's been a great blessing, obviously, in my life, and I do look. My friends laugh when I tell them how much I despised the thing they called rock and roll. I even told my wife. I don't know if I've said this in interviews before, but I told my wife, we've been together for forever. I tease people. I say she raised me. She was 14 when I met her, and I was 15. And
Yeah.
but the thing is that I used to when we were married and we had our first son, and I'd go off to work, and I'd tell her, "Don't let him watch that crap." She it's a terrible. It's not a. I guess it's not really a very funny story, but I didn't want her to watch. I didn't want her to let our son Eric watch the Beatles on TV because I didn't want him tainted. I wanted him to listen to Miles, this new Miles record I got. Okay, I'll play that for him while I'm gone. I mean, it when you're young, you're so kind of
Yeah, I know. I
stupid
get
in a
it.
way.
I
But
think you've probably told Ringo that story, I'm guessing, and he's
oh yeah,
probably
oh yeah,
laughs at it. Yeah. He's,
yeah, yeah. I mean, for the irony, the unbelievable irony of it, um, to uh, at this stage of the game to be listening to those really early Beatle records, just to go back and think, well, what was it? How did they grab hold of the whole world and change the world? How did they do that? And you go and listen to those early records, and knowing now what I know, it's astonishing. That's another reason why it's good to believe in God. I think because I think He brought that together. He brought those people together. Four young lads from Liverpool,
yeah.
different sections of the city, and totally different human beings, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah.
totally different, and and put them together in just the beautiful way that it came together. And same thing with the Stones, same thing with the Stones. To know that Keith and Mick, were just trying to figure it out, but they were having fun, and and then why did their chemistry become so amazing that it basically changed the world?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's just I love it. I love it. I love the fact that I got to go the gamut. I got to appreciate early on the music I appreciated and loved so much, and then to go all the way through to this period of time and love all of it. Just be able to have all of it at my you know beck and call. I can just whatever I want to hear, I can listen to. I love that about today's
Yeah.
technology. There's no. I can just think of a song, and with the press of a button, I can hear it right now. And
That's
I
beautiful.
love that. I
Yeah.
love where we're headed with AI. If we if we if we have the right people, or if
Yeah.
we have the right with the people, if we have the people with the right hearts to do the right thing, it's just going to be amazing, man. Yesterday, I read an article about, and I saw it on TV about how they're closing in on pancreatic cancer,
I saw that too. Yeah.
and that's what my beautiful father-in-law died of, and several of my very close friends, it took them, and to think that it's a possibility that they're going to be able to keep that at bay. Just like with
Yeah.
anyway, that's not a drum conversation, I guess, but
No, but it gives us hope. I know what you're saying, and it's, yeah,
yeah,
and it gives us hope. And I
yeah,
was
there
just
is
going to
hope.
say, I just to circle back for 1 second, Jim. What I think is so amazing about you, besides just the human that you are, is that you have this. I remember when Charlie passed, you and I were on the phone one day, and we were both getting very emotional and talking about our friend, and you're the link. You're the link between him and Ringo and Levon and so much history. And I just want to say that I speak for so many people that it's just such you're such a treasure. You're just such a treasure. Just having you here today, having you just on the earth with us, and just being here. It's so
Yeah,
special.
thank you, John. Thank you, man. Thank you. I feel the same way about you too, bro. You got a good heart. I
Thank you.
think that's what we look for in our friends. Is we just were at dinner 2 nights ago with our really really good friends, three couples, and I made the point at right before dessert. I was saying, how we're so fortunate to have the wives that we have, to have the lives that we've led, and
Yeah.
and it's all about heart. It's all about the heart, and
Yeah.
and so let's spread the love, because we need it more now in this world than we ever have. Seems like. Not really. There were times in the early 40s. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Imagine living through those days, and saying, "Where's the love? My God, where's the love?" Hal David, man, and Bert. What the world needs now is love.
Yeah. That's
Love,
right.
sweet love. Shall
Yeah.
we end there?
Well, we will play a little bit more music, and I'm gonna
Oh yeah, we're talking about Charlie Watts.
I'm gonna let
Speaking of love.
but that's a great place. That would be a great place to end, and we're gonna end on a high note. I'm gonna play a little bit
Good.
more Charlie.
Yeah.
I thought we'd play a little bit of 19th Nervous Breakdown, since we
Oh
talked
yeah.
about that as a great example of Charlie. And
Yeah.
man, this song still to this day, and I'll just say, I remember going to see them. It must have been the late '90s. They were doing this song, which was really interesting. For a lot of time, for a lot of years, when the Stones would tour, they'd play stuff from whatever their new record was, and then the big hits. But they didn't go that deep into the old stuff. But as you recall, then they started to even go deeper and playing stuff like this. And I remember him telling me this song, and you probably know this, but this song scared the shit out of him having to play this. It really, and Chooch McGee told me the same thing. It really made him nervous, just because of, like trying to replicate what he played when he was, 23, when he's 63. And
That's right.
yeah, so, but it's just, and I say that with so much love and respect for Charlie. He did a fabulous job playing it, but he's, I think of I think of Elvin when he's playing this. I mean, not obviously he's not Elvin, but he's swinging like, as bad as the baddest guys we know.
The same kind of commitment.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, let's give it a listen. 19th Nervous Breakdown.
Much too loud, running up and down the stairs. Well, it seems to me that you have said too much in too few years. And though you try, you just can't hide. Your eyes are edged with tears. You will stop and look around. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here comes your 19th nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
Here it comes, here it comes. Here comes your 19th nervous breakdown. Oh, who's to blame? That girl just insane. Well, nothing I do don't seem to work. The only thing that makes matters worse. You were still in school when you had that fool who really messed your mind. And after that you turned your back on treating people kind. On our first trip I tried so hard to rearrange your mind. But after a while I realized you were disarranging man. You will stop, look around. Here it comes, here it comes. Here it comes, here it comes. Here comes your 19th nervous breakdown.
All right, here it comes right here. Oh, man.
No, come on. I mean, that's just perfect. That's just perfection. And yet it is so imperfect, you know, but
Yeah.
it is just perfection rock and roll, man. And commitment, come on, you talk about commitment, I mean, when I would hear the Rolling Stones, I just hear I hear I hear the same thing that I hear with the Beatles, in that these were young kids that came together, and they were committed to each other, and they built a thing. You know, John and Paul built this thing, and Mick and Keith built that thing. And they built it. I mean,
Yeah.
and then look what it became, you know. And then again, to repeat ourselves, you know, they needed the right drummers, and they didn't even know maybe
Yeah.
till they heard them.
Yeah. No, you're right. And
When
yeah.
Paul said when they heard Ringo play, Pete Best couldn't make it one night, and so they got Ringo to play, and they had played What'd I Say, and he nailed it so badly that they stood there when the song was done. They stood there and they said, "What the F is that?" And that was it, man. They had their drummer.
Yeah.
And with Charlie, I don't know if there was a moment like that, but they knew all along, from what I understand, that they needed to have Charlie Watts. They wanted him.
Yeah.
They couldn't necessarily get him because he was busy, right?
Right. Yeah. And the story I've heard is that.
Listen, yeah. I hate to say this, but my gardeners are here. Do you hear that?
I heard. Yes, I heard something. Yes. If you got to jump, it's okay. I'm gonna go a little longer, but if you got to jump, not a problem.
I'll jump now, just for the people, because they don't want to hear a leaf blower like that. And so I love you, Johnny.
I love you too, Jim. So much.
Doing the good work you're doing, and I'll give you Steve's information later.
That's great. Thank you.
Remember to get him on these next ones. Okay.
Great. Big hand for the Jedi Master, Jim Keltner, my friend and hero. All right. Thanks, Jim.
All right.
Love you. See you soon. Yep. Bye-bye. Well, I'm going to continue a little bit longer here, everybody. And wow, I'm so thrilled to have had Jim with me for as long as we did. Going to go a little bit longer. I'm going to play a couple of more songs just because I'm kind of raring to go now. Jim put me in a great place. I'll just tell you that he and I were on the phone for about 35 minutes earlier today, just talking about a lot of stuff. And I wasn't even sure that I was going to even do this. And his willingness to do it is what made me decide to do it. I'd asked Don McCauley also if he could join me today. Charlie's very close friend and drum tech for the last 10 or so years. That Charlie was with the Stones, and Don is busy, so Don couldn't join me either. But, without Don or Charlie Drayton or Jim Keltner, I just felt like it wasn't worth doing this. But Jim was up for it. So anyway, I'm just so thankful, and I will be sure to tell him that again when I talk to him later today. But thanks to you guys for sticking around a minute. I want to play a couple of more songs that we sort of talked about, him and I, earlier. And, maybe not some of the most obvious songs, but Jim sort of got me thinking about this when he said that years later, when he started thinking about Beatles songs way, way after the fact, I did the same thing. When I got older, I started listening and appreciating a lot of older Rolling Stones songs and what Charlie did. For example, I think Under My Thumb is another lesson in discipline. Charlie, again, this is a song where he does play, these little fills, but he never hits a cymbal. There's not one crash cymbal throughout the entire song. And it's just such a lesson in restraint. And when I used to try to ask him about these things, he was very, he was very sort of vague about what his idea was at any given time when he was making one of these songs. I think he just went with how he felt, and just what he was feeling inside. So I don't know that he really thought about it a whole lot, and I can understand that. He definitely played from his soul, no doubt about it. So let's listen to a little bit of Under My Thumb. So to me, this song, there's great discipline and restraint in his playing. He's just very kind of understated, playing a really nice, solid groove, not heavy on the backbeat, just kind of playing what's right for the song. And then you put that next to a song that I want to say they recorded the same year, might even be the same album, in fact. Painted Black, which of course needs no introduction, but it's such a great, I guess if for lack of a better word, bombastic song. There's just so much energy and, and the song, it calls for that, which the part that Charlie came up with is so perfect because the drive that he creates in this song, it needs that, this sort of dark, moody kind of song, and the drums definitely provide that. So let's check out a couple of seconds of Painted Black here. Riding on the tom-tom, eighth notes. Or maybe they're quarter notes and eighth notes.
I see a red door and I want it painted black. No colors anymore, I want them to turn black. I see the girls walk by dressed in their summer clothes. I have to turn my head until my darkness goes. I see a line of cars and they are painted black, with flowers and my love never to come back. I see people turn their heads and quickly look away. Like a newborn baby, it just happens every day. I look inside myself and see my heart is black. I see my red door, I must have it painted black. Maybe then I'll fade away and not have to face the facts. It's not easy facing up when your whole world is black. No more will my green seagull turn a deeper blue. I could not foresee this thing happening to you. If I look hard enough into the...
Such a great song. I don't know if my friend Neil Porter is still watching, but Neil and I are old buddies and played music together for many years. Great musician himself. And I've told this story before, and I told Neil this story, that when I joined the band that I'm in, Grand Theft Audio, we play this song. And so I called Charlie because I was really wanting to play it the right way. I really wanted to honor him, and play it not note for note, but at least with the same feel and the same, basic idea of what he came up with. And I called him and I said to him, Charlie, are you playing quarter notes on the tom-tom or are you playing eighth notes? Because at times it sounds like just straight quarter notes. And then other times it sounds like he's playing, And his answer was something like, oh, God, I don't remember. It's, I said something like, it's hard to play it, to make it sound the right way. And he said, no, it's really not hard. It's an easy song to play. Just don't play it too fast. And I just got such a kick out of that because of the way he really emphasized, don't rush the tempo, which is great advice for any drummer. You don't want to play it too fast. The singer never appreciates when the drummer plays the song too fast. So a little Charlie anecdote there. And thank you guys for joining me at such last minute, really no advance warning other than just reaching out this morning. So thank you all. I'm going to play a little bit of Monkey Man, which I think most people know. This song to me is talk about a genius drum part, what Charlie plays. He plays the opposite of what drummers normally would play, which is he plays the ride cymbal during the verse and the hi-hat during the chorus. And the only other Rolling Stones song that I can think of where he does that is Heartbreaker from Goat's Head Soup, where he plays the verse, little sort of jazzy beat on the ride, and then moves to the hi-hat during the chorus. So let's see if we'll play a little bit of Monkey Man. And, this to me, because it's just such an adventurous song for him, where he just really stretches and he's hate to use the word busy, but he's busier than we normally hear him play. So check it out right here. He's going to move to the ride cymbal.
I'm a flippy peanut monkey. All my friends are junkies. I'm really true.
To the hi-hat, back to the ride.
Cold Italian pizza. I could use a lemon squeezer.
Back to the hi-hat.
Well, I've been bitten, I've been tossed around every she-rat in this town. Have you, babe? Well, I am just a monkey man. I'm glad you are a monkey woman too. I was bitten by a boar.
lot of big drum fills in that one too. Really, really great. Yeah, let me play a little bit more here. I thought I'd play a little bit of "Can't You Hear Me Knockin'" because by the time they recorded this, Sticky Fingers 1970-ish, he had really started to stretch and experiment, and I think his drumming matured incredibly within those few years from the late 60s into the early 70s. And I've often said, and I don't know this, it's a theory really more than anything, that Jimmy Miller, their producer at the time, who was also a drummer, and as Charlie said, a good drummer, I think there was some influence that Jimmy Miller had on him as far as, at the very least, encouraging Charlie to play more, which a producer will do often, or tell you not to play, But I think in this case, he probably encouraged Charlie to, in a song like Monkey Man, I have to think he probably said, more tom-toms, more this, more that. And, around this time in the late 60s, Charlie switched to traditional grip, which is, a more sort of jazz-oriented grip from match grip. And I think that allowed him to play differently and maybe with a little bit more control. And in this song, you can hear he's playing some ghost notes on the snare drum during the verse of "Can't You Hear Me Knockin'?" So here it comes. You can hear those little drags on the snare. All right, moving somewhat chronologically, I was telling Jim Keltner about this song earlier, and he sort of remembered it, but we didn't have time to play it while he was on the show, but I just want to play this version. It's a live version. The Stones recorded a cover of Chuck Berry's Around and Round, probably on their first record when they were, doing all these Chuck Berry covers. And then they did a live version at the El Macambo in Toronto in 1977, which made its way onto Love You Live, their live album that came out in the 70s. And I think, I was just saying to Jim during the sound check, this is a great example, again, of Charlie, swinging for the fences on this song. And he really sounds great. I mean, this song chugs along so nicely. And I think his swing beat is what really drives this song. So here comes Round and Round from Love You Live.
John was riding, going round and round. Yeah, reeling out around there. What a crazy sound. And they never stopped rocking till the moon went down. I guess it sounds so sweet. I gotta take me a chance. Rose out of my seat. Just had to dance. Started moving my feet. And clapping my hands. o'clock. Yeah, the place is pop. Windows is locked. Yeah, the place is pop.
I am going to fast forward to a section of this song where he plays this crazy fill coming out of the... Actually, it's after the guitar solo. As they go into the last chorus. All right, let's see if I can find it here for you. I'll let you know when that drum fill comes up. I'm guessing some of the drummers that know this song know what I'm talking about. But if you don't, you're in for a treat.
When the police now come,
It's crazy fill.
no, flew by. I heard it kept on rocking, going round and round. Yeah, baby, now rocking, what crazy sound.
Okay, it's coming up.
Stop rocking, tell the wind out.
Here it is.
Yeah, the joint's not rocking, going round and round. Yeah, baby, now rocking, what crazy sound.
I could never play that. Not that way anyway. All right, let's see. Someone mentioned All Down the Line, and my all-time favorite Rolling Stones song. I think if I had to pick one and really commit to it, I think it would be All Down the Line. So I know I have that in my playlist somewhere. It has to be. It absolutely has to be. All right. From Exile on Main Street, my favorite Rolling Stones record. A little bit of All Down the Line. These are such great fills here. All right. I think I'm going to play one more, and I don't know if my friend Brian County is still watching, but the other night Brian came to see my band, and we were chatting after the show and talking about Charlie and the Stones, He's a big Rolling Stones fan too. And we both talked about this next song as being a great sort of unknown, or I shouldn't say unknown. It was actually a single, but I think it's one of those hidden gems in the Stones catalog, so to speak, from Steel Wheels in 1989. And it's Almost Hear You Sigh. And it's nothing fancy at all as far as what Charlie plays, but it's a beautiful groove. It's just, I remember the first time I heard this, I bought the CD when it came out, and it was the first new Stones record in a few years when it came out, and it had Mixed Emotions was the sort of lead single, if you remember. They were on tour that summer or that fall. They had sort of a comeback, and I remember hearing this song, and this song at the time anyway stood out more than anything else on the whole record. It just really touched me and moved me, just in the subtleness of it. And that's what I think is one of the greatest things about Charlie, is his subtleness. I love a lot of the stuff that he did where he really goes for it, like 19th Nervous Breakdown and Monkey Man and Paint It Black and all down the line. But you play a song like this and you can just appreciate, just again, the discipline and the dedication to just playing the perfect part for the song, which is what he always did first and foremost. So here's Almost Hear You Sigh.
Sigh. I can almost hear you cry on every crowded street, all the places we would meet. What'll I do without you? To say the life goes on. I'm feeling sorry for myself. Too calm, turned on all the charm. You had a cold look in your eyes. And I feel your tongue on mine, silky smooth like wine. I'm living with these memories. Sigh, almost hear you cry when you made sweet love to me. And you turned on all the charm, acted much too calm. You had a cold look in your eye. Did it mean nothing? Was it all in vain? Or was it that?
Man, what a great song. Wow. I wanted to show Jim Keltner this, and I think it was might have been Dan Peterson. Someone had mentioned my recently made over Ludwig Black Beauty snare drum, my tribute to Charlie, and I'll show Jim, I'll send him a picture, but I want to show everybody, if you haven't seen this, this is a regular Ludwig Black Beauty snare drum that you can buy from Ludwig. And I had this engraved by the world's greatest drum engraver, John Aldridge, the legendary drum scratcher himself. And for years I've been talking to John about wanting to send him my Black Beauty to have him engrave something. And I couldn't really come up with an idea. And then at one point I thought, well, maybe he even suggested a Rolling Stones tongue or something. And I came up with an idea to pay a tribute to Charlie, which is etched tongues all the way around. And then John suggested putting a brass butt plate and a brass throw-off, replacing the chrome ones. So what I'm going to do is replace these original Ludwig lugs with brass tube lugs. I'm just waiting for a couple more to come in the mail. But it's going to make this look like a very cool, almost vintage-looking Black Beauty with all the trimmings. So anyway, and it's a Ludwig. The best part is it's a Ludwig Black Beauty, so it sounds amazing. It's not just a beautiful drum. I mean, if you know about these drums, you know that they are truly amazing sounding snare drums. I kind of feel like I'm betraying all my Gretsch and Craviotto snares, but they understand. We have a good relationship, me and my drums. My Gretsch drums get lots of airtime, and my Craviotto drums and my Camco drums. So they understand that I'm going to move this Ludwig snare into the starting position for a while. It's going to be the starting quarterback for the next bunch of gigs. Really, really great. Excited about it. Yeah. I've wondered the same. Dan Peterson is asking, would brass rims be overkill? I thought the same thing. Well, I wondered the same thing, and I don't know enough about the sound properties, but I might give them a try. It would certainly make the drum look more uniformed, with brass hoops and brass lugs, and the etched look gives it a sort of brass gold look. So we'll see. Anyway, thank you guys for tuning in today. I so appreciate it. I want to thank Jim Keltner once again for joining me, and thank you guys for sticking around for so long. Happy 85th birthday to Charlie Watts. I think about him every day, absolutely, and I know you guys all do too. And yeah, what a treat it was to know him and to call him my friend, and something I'll never ever, even though he's not here anymore, I'll never take for granted. It's just something that I still pinch myself when I think about it, that the guy that was about 99% the reason I became a drummer ended up becoming such a, big part of my life. So forever thankful, and thankful to all of you watching today too. And I really mean that sincerely. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys real soon. Thanks. All right, that's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also download the episodes on all podcast platforms. And please visit my website, livefrommydrumroom.com, for upcoming shows. And remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you again real soon.